it's Christina.
And I'm Catherine.
And I'm Lauren.
I was going to say, hey, it's Christina, Catherine, Lauren. Welcome back to Sisters Talk. We're in
Sync.
Why did I do that?
Oh, guys, I tried. Anyway, welcome to Sisters Talk. It's us three, the three wimps in wigs. Have you seen Cinderella Story? That was a quote. So some of these episodes we're going to do all five of us, and then some of them we're going to do three of us. So we pick the three of us who have the most to say about the topic. So today's topic is
Performance
anxiety. And us three have the most to say. And Kath pointed out that Lauren and I are color coordinated, and
I'm a freaking rainbow.
But it's a good rainbow sweatshirt.
I just feel like they're so sophisticated, as Christina says.
Well, she has rainbow colors in the middle too, actually.
Yeah, but her hair is like covering it. And then I'm just this bright child, so
It's okay,
that's
guys.
what you get.
There's
That's okay.
nothing wrong with that.
That's what you get.
Okay.
There's nothing wrong with
So-
that.
Okay.
Let's
So
start
you guys,
at the beginning.
let's
Oh,
explain
yeah.
it again. So you guys submit all of the topic suggestions, so you shape the whole episodes. And then you guys submit the questions as well. So we picked the topic, performance anxiety, from you guys, and now we picked the questions.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning. This is from Isabel. What is your worst experience with performance anxiety?
I know one time we were performing and I remember this clearly. We opened the show Fallback and I almost threw up in the middle of it. I literally started like gagging on the bridge and I was just like, I'm gonna throw up and die right now.
Okay, I told you guys this in the story time series. I don't know if it came out yet, so either I'm telling you this or I already told you. The first time we were performing at the State Fair, I was about to throw up backstage. I was walking back and forth and I can't do this, I can't do it. And I remember drinking a cup of water and being like, okay, calm down, you can do this, you can do it. And I was about to throw up, but I did not. I've also forgotten words on stage before. Those are probably I've missed notes on stage before, mainly like playing piano. I've been like frozen. So I would say those are my worst.
I did musical theater for like 5 years, and I also did tap during that time. And we did a lot of shows that had like these really long tap numbers. So you had to like memorize a really long number. And, you know, our choreographer prepared us really well. We would spend hours preparing. It was like she was very good about preparation. But something about this happened. I think it was in the show Anything Goes, and I was like 14. And I was the character Purity, which was one of the angels. And I remember the lights were so bright and it was like shining in my eyes and I was like, I can't see. And I got so nervous. I was like, I'm gonna forget the dance. And I started doing it wrong and I was like, no. I just started looking around me and I was like, what is everyone doing? And I was like, I'd done this dance a million times. At every rehearsal, like it was fine. But when we got on stage, just like the lights and then I like couldn't see the people in the audience and the world was
like
just
a
like
movie.
spinning.
That's
I was
literally like a movie.
Oh, even thinking about that gives me anxiety.
Okay, that's our worst experiences. What's the next question?
Okay, so this is from Isabel. How did you overcome your fears before going on stage?
That is a trick question because I don't.
Hmm.
Literally, almost every show that we do beforehand, I'm like, I'm not doing it. I'm not going on stage.
She
I
literally
can't do
says
it.
that
I'm not doing it.
all
I'm
the
not
time.
doing it. I
She's
can't
like,
do it.
I'm
I'm
not
not
going.
doing it.
I
I'm not
can't.
going. I'm not doing it. And then I just do it anyway. So I don't really overcome anything per se of like, okay, now I'm ready. I just do it anyway.
You have the courage to do it when you're scared.
Yes.
For me, I actually do overcome my fears for the most part. So different strategy than Laura. I have a way of overcoming them, but I don't think like mine will work for everyone or Lauren's. So it's like figure out which person's works for you, basically. So practice. That freaked me out.
That was
Amy.
I think Amy's
Practice lowers my anxiety significantly. So the more I practice, the more I'm prepared. Okay, so practice and anxiety are like this. So more practice, the more the anxiety goes down. The less I have practiced, the higher my anxiety is before the show. So the first thing is I make sure I have practiced so much. I know exactly what I'm doing. I have memorized. I've done it a trillion times. Sometimes I like over prepare. That is very helpful. The other thing that helps is I sit down with my fears and I give myself like a really strong pep talk. I'm like, you can do this. And I change the focus. So if I'm like, you need to do it perfectly, don't mess up, blah, 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 and that's my pep talk, I'm going to be so anxious. So if I do a different thing and I'm like, okay, if I forget something, I'll just keep going. If I'll go through like things I'll do if I mess up, and then I'll also be like, you're just a human, you don't have to be perfect, do your best, go out there, you're brave for doing this. And I just build myself up. So I would say that pep talk and practice, those are the two things I do, and they always get me feeling really, really good and ready to go.
I feel like there's so many different layers to this, but like when we were first doing the band, then we were a lot younger. You know, I think we were probably all a lot more insecure when we were younger, and sometimes just looking out into the audience and seeing, like, we go to these festivals where people didn't really know us.
Oh my
And it was
gosh.
like, you see these teenagers looking at you like, you are literally the dumbest person I've ever seen. I'm so bored. I hate your performance. Like, maybe they're not trying to say that
That's
with
what
their
they
face,
look
but they're
like.
like, wow. Like, that is so hard. Even to this day, that's kind of hard
so
It is
hard.
to, like, transcend that. But then, like, as we went along, it got easier because it was, like, people that knew us and liked us. But, like, I feel like for you guys watching this, like, if you're giving a presentation or something, it's like,
It's lots
you
of
have
people
to be
looking
able
like
to
that.
just sort of disregard the people that are looking at you, because their faces don't necessarily mean what you think. They might be thinking about something completely different. A lot of people have RBF, resting, you know what face,
Oh,
where
we
they're
should
just
say
like,
listening faces.
listening
Okay,
faces.
everyone has a listening face of their own.
Yeah,
This
like
is a good
Amy
thing to
kind of
know.
looks like this a lot.
And Amy's not rude.
And she's not a rude person.
She's
She
just
just has a very skeptical. Well, she's a skeptical person, but she has a skeptical look to her. But she's not trying to be rude. She's not judging you. She's just like skeptical.
And like Lisa's resting face, her lips go down, so she's like,
Yeah, it like curves.
So if you looked at them like before a show, you'd be like, oh my gosh, they hate me.
it.
Probably me too, sitting there.
Yeah,
Listening faces do not reveal what people are really thinking. So you have to know about listening faces.
Yeah.
Think about your own listening
and
face.
like that listening face used to really impact me as a performer. Like,
It's hard.
oh my gosh, people like they hate it, and it would just like shoot, and I would just have to like. So I kind of started to realize you can't look at people and expect them to give you what you want for what you're performing. You have to just have it
true.
already.
True.
And before the shows, I'll ask myself, and this is something that you kind of have to do way before you're about to go on stage or whatever it is that you're about to do. What am I doing this for? What is the reason that I'm doing this? If you can ask yourself that and you're like, oh, well, I want to look perfect and impress everyone, like, yeah, you're going to be nervous and you're going to feel horrible. But if
That's
you're
horrible.
like, I have something to say, I'm sharing something that's important, I really value my art, I'm so passionate about this, I'm excited to share this, like, if you can get in touch with that, then you kind of become, I don't want to say invincible, you're not invincible, but like, it's almost like you start floating
more
above the
resilient.
audience and you're like transcending the vibe if the crowd is dead. And yes, it's so hard to perform when the crowd is dead.
So hard.
But if you can like really ask yourself, like, I always think of Ed Sheeran. I just love him so much. And I think of him when I'm performing and I'm like, he's just up there like singing his songs. And like, I try to channel like, wonder how Ed feels. And like just
I
getting in
wonder
touch
how
with like
Ed
a
feels.
true artist. Because to me, it doesn't matter who's looking at me and how judgy they look. If I have confidence, like I believe in what I'm doing, and if I can just center myself and like get in touch with that before the performance, even if I like mess up little things or whatever, and definitely preparation helps too. But to me, no matter how prepared I feel, there's always this mental game, and it's always about like insecurity versus confidence. And I realized the big major key before was that I was just so focused on how people looked in the audience, and when I was able to overcome that, I could like transcend that a lot more.
But I think also, like, there's all these things that you can do to, like, lower your anxiety. Like, okay, you go through everything in your mind, you do the pep talk, you do everything, but sometimes you're still going to be anxious. And I think feeling like that's wrong for you to be anxious makes you more anxious.
Don't judge yourself.
I think that's kind of
Yeah.
my thing that I do is I'm like, you know what, it's okay that I'm anxious because
I'm a human.
when I go on stage after a little bit, like, I won't be anxious anymore. And, like, it's okay. I think the, like, fighting the anxiety a lot of times
Always
makes
makes
it
it
worse.
worse.
Like, it's okay for me to be anxious. Like, this is something that's scary. And it's okay that I'm
Absolutely.
anxious.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Don't judge yourself. I think judging yourself adds to anxiety. And what
Oh,
Kat
my
said,
gosh.
it reminded me of another trick I do. So I have like a mental trick of when people, it used to kill me when people would be like this. I'm sitting there singing my heart out, going all out, so passionate. People are just sitting there and I would be like, this sucks, this is horrible. And then I would just start to make my performance smaller because I was like, oh, I feel embarrassed. I don't want people judging me. This sucks, whatever. So here's my trick. I don't know if it'll work for other people, but it works for me. Basically, I made a different goal. I was like, I want to perform fully in the midst of my big fear, which is being judged by people. So if I can perform as if I'm being watched by like thousands of adoring fans, but really people are sitting there like this, then I will have achieved my goal. Because I think it's really cool to be so brave that you can put yourself out there while people are looking at you like that. It doesn't affect the outcome. Not that it doesn't affect how you feel, but it doesn't affect the outcome. I like the idea of being like, okay, I'm going to be so brave that I'm going to put myself out there while they're looking at me like that. So I make that new goal, like, I want to be that brave. And then after I do it, I'm like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe I did that. That is so hard to do. And I'm like, most people would just crumble in the people like looking like that, but I didn't crumble. And then I'm like proud of myself. So I make like a new goal. Because trying to make the goal of like making everyone smile, don't do that.
And sometimes even if people don't smile, they actually are enjoying it.
yeah,
They
you don't
really
even know
are.
what they're thinking.
It's hard. Some people just aren't that especially Gen Z, not that expressive with their face. It's just a thing. Okay, this is from Caroline. She said, do you have any little rituals or things you do to help with the nerves?
Ooh, sometimes music can make me feel really good. So I'll listen to like
Yeah.
a song that has a good message that builds me up. Basically, the messages that are going into your head, whether it's like people around you, yourself, talking to yourself, songs you're listening to, whatever, those are kind of dictating how you're going to feel. So if you just have like this negative tape on replay in your head and it's just like, don't mess up. Oh, this is so horrible. I'm so nervous. This sucks. Why are you nervous? You shouldn't be nervous. Oh, just get over it. No, if it's just that whole thing, it's not going to help. So I'm like, I need to just absolutely fill myself with positive, uplifting messages. So I will like listen to a song that gets me feeling good, and then I'll talk to myself in a good way, and I'll make sure I'm only around people who are uplifting. I'm not around someone who's doing something that makes me nervous. Like my dad before swim meets before like a race, I'd get really nervous, and then my dad would always be standing there. My mom would be like, okay, just focus on this, that, and the other thing. I'd be like, okay. My dad would be like, all right, you ready? All right, whatever. He would start talking about, Dad, stop. And then he would always go, ha, and start cracking up, and I was like, Dad, stop it. And he'd be like, Dad, stop. So I was like, Dad, I need you to not talk to me before my race because all you do is distract me and make me laugh, but I'm not really laughing. So I had to tell my dad he had to stop it because he was like throwing me off. My mom was helping. She was just saying, okay, head back, kick hard. That's all you have to focus on. So like, okay, just focus on that. See what I'm saying?
I feel like my ritual is saying, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing this, I'm not doing it. And it actually is helpful because it's not negative and like, oh no, I'm gonna ruin it, I'm gonna mess up, everything's gonna be bad. It's just like, I'm not doing it. And then it's like, I just tell myself I'm not doing it and I just do it anyway. So then I kind of skip like the lead up anxiety. I'm just like, I'm not doing it.
It doesn't matter.
I'm not doing it. But I do it.
That is so wild.
I don't
Literally, I do that. I get in my car to go somewhere. I'm like, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing it.
That's interesting
doing it.
strategy to be like, I'm not even gonna go in when I get there.
Because it feels like freeing. I'm like,
You're like,
I don't
okay,
have to do it.
not
I don't have
going
to
in.
think about the anxiety because I'm not doing it.
It's an interesting strategy, I gotta say.
I think we all learned a lot from going on tour for like years and doing like so many different shows. And over time, I started to realize that the amount of care that you put into taking care of yourself, like especially the night before and the day of the performance, really makes a difference.
Oh wait, yeah, that's true.
So like when we would go on tour, like I just always had a lot of anxiety, especially in hotels. I don't know why I just get so much anxiety in hotels. And like taking a bath and then making tea. Oh dang it, my alarm just went off. Sorry. So taking a bath and making a cup of tea was like my ritual the night before that would help me relax and help me actually fall asleep and not just be like worrying about the performance. So that was like a night before ritual. And also even before like we'd even get on the plane to go to the show, picking out an outfit and like really taking the time to put in something that not only that I feel is flattering to my body and also like that I feel confident in, but that I feel like expresses my personality. Because like I want to feel like myself. And if you're worried about your clothes, like, oh, this looks weird, or you're like pulling at something or doesn't really fit right, like that is just not, it's going to distract from your performance. You want to feel completely, I like to feel very covered, like, but also just like it's me too.
Because sometimes it makes you feel like safe almost. Like you don't want to feel too like exposed. It like adds to your anxiety. You have to know like how your clothing will affect you in certain situations.
Yeah, like sometimes, you know, you just want to wear all black.
You're like, I need to wear all black for this event, and that will make me feel the most safe. And that is totally legitimate. Just do that.
Wear what feels good to you.
Also, like, food and drink. Like,
yes, eat healthy and, like drink lots of water.
All of us do this before we have a show, especially. We drink a lot of water all day, so, like, our vocal cords are good. And we don't really eat, like, we don't do a heavy thing. And we don't eat something heavy before. Which
we had to learn this the hard way.
To a lot of things, though. Like, don't eat something that's going to, like, hurt you too soon before.
Yeah, we'd always get like chicken and salads and like fruits, like things that were lighter but still had like protein.
Yeah, those are like great.
And then after the show, we'd get like,
then we're like, okay,
pizza, ice cream.
Now
like,
we have
whatever we want. But before the show, it's like you gotta put the ultimate fuel in your tank. Which, wow, this is really bringing back a lot of tour memories. I'm getting really nostalgic. Side note. Okay, let's see. Here is a good one from Marcus. He said, does it help to fight performance anxiety that you can be on stage together? What do you think? Does it make a difference for you that you are sisters? Or would you feel exactly the same with friends?
Oh, okay. I think for me, being on stage with other people definitely helps because it's like, okay, I'm not the only one singing. And it's like, I'm not the only one people are looking at.
Takes the weight off you.
But I think that I still would feel as nervous. And I think being sisters versus friends is not really that different.
It's just your relationship.
Someone that you're like
it's just your closeness level. Because some sisters are not close.
But the fact that we have such a deep bond is very helpful. Because you feel like you're not just like out at sea in this boat in the middle of a storm. You're like, I have a good crew with me.
It definitely helps me.
I would say though is that like, okay, when we're performing as sisters, I think there's more pressure on it because it's like, oh, this is our job, this is our band, blah, blah, blah. Versus if I'm performing or something with people where it's not in that context of like the job, then it's different. But
yeah,
I think if it was the same thing but we were friends, I would still feel that pressure.
It definitely helps me because I'm like, people aren't just staring at me the whole time. They have 5 people on stage to look at. That's definitely really helpful. But like when I give my speech during our concerts, then I'm like,
oh yeah.
Sometimes I'm like,
I know, I feel like you always get nervous
like,
before.
You're gonna panic. I'm like in the middle, I can panic and be like, and I'm like, stop, no. And I have to like be like, nope, don't even go there. I start to think like, what if I don't know what to say next? I'm like, stop. I just keep saying stop. I'm like, stop it and just go and live in your gift. Because if I start
that's
thinking,
what I have to do before I know I'm gonna talk before a song. I'm like, okay,
just do it. Yeah. It's weird that you can actually trust yourself to just do something.
Yeah.
It's like you don't tell yourself like, oh, you better think about the way you're brushing your teeth. It's like, I know how to do this. Or like, you better think about the way you're walking. Like, you can trust your body to just walk for you. Or to just breathe for you. You don't have to think about it. So it's cool that if you can get to that spot, you can actually trust your body to like really be there for you and like perform or whatever it is you're doing. Like, you can trust yourself to do that. So I think it's like building up trust with yourself. Let's do one more question.
Yeah. Okay. This is from Peyton. And she said, how to change your mindset once you are already in that state of anxiety.
Ooh, getting yourself out.
Yeah, I would say this is kind of maybe like not really answering the question, but something that comes to mind is like, I can remember so many times where like I would start to panic on stage and I would like forget my bass part that I'd practiced so many times. Or like I'd forget, like I said earlier, like the dance when I did musical theater. But even like later on, I like recent times almost forget the lyrics, like, and you start panicking, like, what's the words? And in that moment, I always know, I'm like, stop thinking, it'll come to you, just stop. And I realize, like, I'm overthinking it. And when I'm thinking a lot in the performance, we had this great, was it Richie who said this?
No, it was Brian.
Brian, they said
it was?
Yeah,
don't think, just
man,
feel.
I really thought it was Richie.
Okay, that's so true, and I feel like that's so hard.
Are you sure?
I thought it was
Brian.
Richie.
Whatever.
One of our dance
Richie.
choreographers, is either Brian or Richie, said this, and he was like, don't think, just feel. And I think that is an amazing guide. Like,
I was like, excuse me, don't think?
What? Yeah, because when you're performing, if you're thinking, you're probably like, I just notice this with myself all the time. I just noticed this more, and I think that's the other day. Like, whenever I think about something too much, it's just way awkward. But if I just go for it and like dive into it, maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm more like an improv
No,
person.
no, I
I think
agree
it's
with that.
every
Is that you
human
guys feel
being.
that?
Because you can go into this more relaxed state of just like doing what you already know. It's like
weird.
muscle memory,
It's so
automatic,
weird.
like-
Yeah, because I was like filming a video the other day, and I noticed, I know it's like performing in a different way, but like I just did it, and I was like, wow, that was like really good. But then I like said some of the details wrong, so it's like, oh, I have to refilm it. And then the second time around, like doing it again, it felt really awkward and clunky, and I was like, I was like, it just didn't feel as natural as the first time. Because I think I was overthinking it, because I was trying so hard to like get everything right. So
I think
in the panic mode.
one thing that I do actually is kind of like zoom out my perspective of like, okay, in the grand scheme of my life, this is one thing. This is one moment. This is not my main goal of my entire life is not anything that actually has to do with this specific moment. Like, there's plenty of other things that matter a lot more than this. And just kind of like putting that moment into perspective is helpful for me.
Yeah, I think that's.
Like, okay.
Oh, how do I get this across? It's like. How do I get this across? It's like what Lauren's saying, but I just want it to be like effective. So I'm like, how do I say this? Basically, when you're in these moments, I think we panic because there's like this
Deep.
conversation going on beneath, and it's like, if you don't get this perfect, then
Yes.
fill in the blank right there. What's going on for you? Like, if I don't do this, I'm gonna be so embarrassed. Everyone's gonna hate me. I'm gonna have no friends. I don't know. It's pretty dramatic if you think about it, but it's real. So you want to kind of figure out what the heck is going on down there, and if you're that's good for before the moment, but in the moment, I have to have something to say to calm myself. Because I know this because I didn't used to have something to say to calm myself. So I used to just shut down as a kid. I'd just be like, I would just shut down. And it would suck. You guys can probably relate to that. You're freaking out and you just shut down. You just don't know what to say and you just feel like trash. And you're just like, okay, I'm just going to get this moment and soon I won't feel like trash anymore, but I'm just going to feel horrible until this moment is over. But you're saying, how could I be empowered and pull myself out of this moment, like intentionally? I totally get that. So the way that I do it is I have some comforting things that I say to myself. And they're so simple, but so powerful. Things like, it's okay, I'm allowed to make mistakes. The most simple thing. It's okay, I'm allowed to make mistakes. It's okay, I'm a human. The people watching me are humans too. They can all relate to making mistakes. They can all relate to being scared. They can all relate to this because we are all just humans. So that's a cool thing to remind yourself, like they can totally relate to what you're going through because they're humans too. So I think if you have something comforting to say to yourself that's like uplifting and kind and comforting, I think that's kind of the only way in the moment you can like kind of pull yourself out. You got to say something. You got to switch. Like maybe you're saying, don't think, just feel, and you just go for it. Maybe you're saying, it's okay to make mistakes. You're okay. You just got to say that one thing that just switches your perspective and takes you out of panic mode into a different mode where you can just do. So you kind of figure out what that is for you.
And this might be something you might not think of because you don't know this until it actually happens to you. I know this happened to us millions of times. Sometimes messing up can be the best gift for your performance anxiety.
So
because
true.
you live through an experience and you're like, life goes on. I did not die. I didn't, fall on my face and like the world just ended. Like, and I think there's this idea that we get from movies where it's like, I'm gonna have this one chance, this one
And it
performance,
ruins my whole life.
and if I don't get this right, I'm gonna die. And maybe you really feel like that, like you have this big audition.
You're
you
like,
get
no,
into,
but you don't get it. I
this
do.
big program, but like you have to kind of have peace in your heart that if something is meant for you, you will get it.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. And if you don't get this opportunity, there will be another. Stop believing the lie that you have this one opportunity to get life right. And if you don't do this one performance perfectly, you're just dead forever. No, that's not true. You're young, probably watching this. You have your whole life ahead of you to try again and do something different. And the fact that you even performed is so brave. So you should be proud of yourself. And it's okay. It's okay to mess up. Literally everyone. I'm sure even Steve Jobs, he messed up.
Everyone.
Every person that's really successful has messed up a million times along the way. So, and
That's why they're successful.
yeah, and they were courageous to actually try. And that's the most important. You're up there on the stage. That's really courageous. Good job for being
Pat
there.
yourself on the back.
Some people will never even do that because they're so terrified. So good for you.
So I'm going to close this. It goes exactly what you said. I want to close this by saying, here's what you should do. Go search like fails on YouTube. Search like singing fails and watch.
Okay, like Mariah Carey.
Watch huge
best singers
stars.
of all time.
Watch Lady Gaga.
Singing fails.
Oh my gosh. Watch these people who are the best in the world at their craft fail miserably on stage in front of probably thousands, and then it goes on YouTube, and then they're in front of millions. Watch that. You will feel
And does that make
so
them a
much better.
failure? No.
You will feel so much better. And then next time you must be like, you know what? Lady Gaga messed up worse than this.
So I'm
And
fine.
she's still kicking.
And take
That's
the
what-
pressure off. And you know what the secret is? When you take the pressure off, you will become an amazing performer. You absolutely will. Because pressure kills everything.
Let us know if you guys look those up. I want to hear your thoughts. Let us know. All right, I hope that helps you guys. We have so much more to say on this. Maybe we should even do like a whole podcast episode or something, because I feel like this like affects everyone.
Yeah.
Thank
it
you
really
guys.
does.
Thank you for coming up with this topic and submitting such. You guys have the best like thoughtful questions. They're so good.
Yeah.
So
amazing.
once again, comment, listen to your thoughts, and listen if you watch those fails. Hopefully this was really helpful. We'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye.
Bye.